Hey Spartans, welcome back to Tyrant's Halo Infinite Legendary Walkthrough. No saves and no deaths. Okay, so we're up to mission number 9, this sequence. Now, you got 4 places to travel, all guarded by the Banished, and I'm assuming, since it's called the sequence, you have to do them in order.
Nope, any order, it's fine.
So you're telling me that they're not in any type of sequence?
No sequence at all.
Okay, well at least you'll get your steps in, Spartans.
What's up, everyone? It's the Tyrant here, and welcome back to my Halo Infinite Legendary Walkthrough. No saves, no deaths. Today's mission is mission 9, called The Sequence. One of the biggest missions in the game, the last open world mission in the game. And there are a few different ways to beat this, and we'll go over that in a bit. This video's a bit longer than I intended it to be, because I hit a glitch towards the end of it, but I'll explain more in a bit. For now, in this initial section right here, you have 2 elites to deal with, 1 minor, 1 major, a few grunts and a few jackals, nothing too crazy. And then you'll activate the console, and then you have to worry about either 1 or 2 banshees on the other side of the bridge. And so we're going to take this play by play. Now, like I said, there are a few different ways you can beat this mission. I'm going to try to show you the easiest one today. As with previous guides from my 1.0 walkthrough, I am using the battle rifle as my primary weapon. The scorpion gun / tank gun is my secondary / backup weapon. I will try to use the tank gun as little as possible, mainly just for shielded enemies and vehicles. Again, if you're not using the tank gun, there are other alternatives here. You can use the pulse carbine or plasma pistol for shielded enemies. The pulse carbine is definitely the most effective one. Later down the line, you can use the sentinel beam as well. For vehicles, you can also use, other vehicles. So, again, I'm going to go over different strategies and tactics on how you can tackle this mission. What I will tell you up front is the tactic that I took for this one is playing this mission through on easy first, and gathering up all the fobs, getting as much Valor as I could so I could unlock the Wasp, which you don't need to do. There is another option, which I'll talk about later, and also getting the Spartan cores. So once you've activated this sequence right here, no pun intended, 1 or 2 banshees will appear. The one on the right always seems to do so. The one on the left, not always. I'm not really sure why that is. If you can take out the banshee on the left, fantastic. The one on the right tends to fly lower, so you can typically grapple him in advance. What I tend to do here is switch to my drop shield. I know it wasn't the best equipment compared to the other 3, but it does come in handy here and for tight, corridors and situations. And that way it can't hit you, and they'll tend to dive bomb at you, and you could easily hijack the Banshee. The Banshee is a great way to get from place to place. Again, I would not recommend using a flying vehicle on Legendary because there's a lot of other Banshees, enemy Banshees, that show up and will just tag you the entire time. It's a complete mess. Lower difficulties, it's fine. On Legendary, not so much. Now, in this first beacon right here, sometimes a pair of Banshees will show up, sometimes they will not. Regardless of the case, go ahead and park your Banshee behind the beacon, and that way you have a place to fall back on. There is 1 shielded brute up here, so make sure you take him out first. There's going to be several brutes, grunts, and jackals on the bottom level. There goes the brute. And there goes the neighborhood. So just keep in mind, there are a couple of shielded brutes down here. Well, at least 1. There is a brute with a stalker rifle that's a bit further off. And there are going to be additional grunts and jackals here. Again, there could be a pair of banshees that show up. It's random whether they do or not. I don't know if it has to do with the time of day or what the deal is. I've never been able to figure out what triggers them to show up. But if they do, focus on them first, obviously, because they can flank you very easily. There's our, I think that's our, no, that's not our shielded guy. It's hard to tell in this lighting right here. We're at twilight at this point, I believe. So one thing that I wanted to point out, as I'm taking these guys out here, by the way, the shade turret is another top priority. That's over there. We're going to take him out in just a second. Just let him calm down for a bit. The first fob you can capture is actually right over that first bridge, right at the beginning of the mission. So you can capture that one very easily. You will have to kill some enemies along the way. But again, if you do this on easy, specifically with a tank gun, it should not be a problem at all. Again, you're not going to really need to use it right off the bat. There's no point. But it does come in handy later. One other thing I wanted to point out, which it may be a little bit late at this point, you probably noticed some of the energy tanks, the fusion coils, not fusion coils, but fusion tanks. They're much larger at the beginning of the mission. If you're not using the tank gun, you probably would want to keep those intact. If you are using the tank gun, it doesn't matter. And again, I'll go more into that later. But if you're not using the tank gun, and I'll go into that more in my 2.0 walkthrough because I won't be using the tank gun then, you do not need to use, or you, again, using the tank gun, fusion tanks don't matter. If you're not using the tank gun, keep them around because you will be returning to that area and reinforcements for the Banished will show up. So as you can see, all enemies are down. You can go ahead and activate the beacon here, or at least the entryway to it. And then you're going to go ahead and travel down. And you're going ahead and activate the beacon. The weapon will do her little song and dance. And then we go from there. So just to sort of circle back, the route that I'm taking for this particular walkthrough, and I may do a 1.5 without this particular route, is capturing all the fobs ahead of time on easy and then replaying the mission on legendary. So aside from that first beacon right there where we took the Banshee, all three of the other beacons have fobs relatively close to them. And so if you have all the fobs unlocked, you can simply just transport there. You can fast travel there and not have to worry about all the enemies in between. Otherwise, you're going to have to be stuck trying to travel through air, either by Wasp or Banshee, which is not a good idea on Legendary or on the ground level. And it's doable, don't get me wrong, but you're going to encounter a lot more enemies if you do that, not to mention some of the special targets and so forth. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and transport to this, we're going to fob kilo right here, and that'll take us to the next one. This is the order I generally like to go in. This particular beacon right here is the one with the wraiths. There are a couple of brutes on the top level. I believe they're shielded, so just be wary of them. If you've unlocked at least 2600 Valor at this point, which you can do if you play through this mission on easy, you should be able to easily get through it. I'm trying to move this guy out of the way so he doesn't get crushed. Will it work? Oh, he's alive. Fantastic. Semper Fi, Marine. Anyway, so if you've unlocked enough Valor prior to this mission on Legendary, when you fast travel to these fobs, you can simply just take the Wasp and easily get to the fob in just a few seconds. Be aware in this particular one, there are some enemies off to the left a little bit. Just keep an eye on your radar. And like with the previous beacon, I tend to like to park in the back, specifically beneath the actual beacon itself. Enemies should not be attacking you from back here. There are a couple of brutes up here. They can get you from long range, so that's why I don't recommend trying to take them out from the cliffside. I've tried that method before. It's not wise. There are also two wraiths here. I do notice that if you take out all the other enemies, sometimes the pilots of the wraiths will abandon their tanks entirely. This does not always happen. It is random. So if it does, great. If not, you do have the tank gun here. And if you don't have the tank gun here, and you're choosing a different weapon, I guess you can maybe choose a rocket launcher or another heavy weapon from the fob and bring that with you instead as a secondary weapon instead of, the pulse carbine or a plasma. It's completely up to you. As you can see, the brutes on top did not have shields, but there will be elites here, so you need to be wary of those guys too. And again, against shielded enemies and vehicles, I am primarily using the tank gun here, since the battle rifle, it does okay against shielded enemies on Legendary, at least in Halo Infinite, and at least not on Lazo or Mythic difficulty. But, again, a plasma weapon like the Pulse Carbine is much more helpful as a secondary weapon. And just, again, be aware of the skimmers because they can get you from long range. A lot of the enemies here can get you from long range. In fact, I actually mentioned this in a tweet. The enemies in Halo Infinite seem to have startling long range with their weapons. Not just the snipers, but also the skimmers and some of the other guys too. So just keep an eye out for that. So we're activating the second beacon now. Again, after this, we're just going to fast travel to the fob closest to the third, and we'll go from there. So we're just going to wait for the weapon to take her time here. Again, you do not need to use the tank gun for this. I'm doing it from my 1.0 walkthrough because it's the easiest way. You also don't need to capture the fobs in advance. You don't need to get all the Valor either. It's just the easiest way to do this. I'm assuming you want to beat this mission in the easiest way possible. That's why you're looking at this guide. So that's why I'm doing this now. But I will be doing a 2.0 walkthrough without the tank gun, and I may do a 1.5 walkthrough for this one that does not involve the fobs or Valor. Just kind of a side note here, even without 2600 Valor, at this point in the game, you should have unlocked the Razorback vehicle. That's basically the transport Warthog. And you can optionally unlock the Arcane Sentinel Beam from a high target or high profile target, which you can find on Island 2. And I'll do a separate video on that, hopefully either tomorrow or the next day. So you'll have that as well. But it's very strong in the hands of Marines, obviously in yours too. But loading up a transport hog or a Razorback with Marines fully loaded with arcane weapons or arcane sentinel beams is a great way to traverse this particular island without doing it in the air, basically terrestrial transport. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to this other fob right here to go ahead and do a fast travel. Once again, we are not that far away from the actual... Whoop, I think I may have... Oh, there it is right there. The beacons get a little bit confusing, the way they're laid out here. Just kind of a side note here. I'm using the PC version. There have been some glitches with this one. I've noticed that the Spartan cores don't show up. So again, I'm doing another separate video on Spartan cores as well. That'll contain all the Spartan core locations in the game, as well as the Arcane Sentinel Beam. So once again, go ahead and call a WASP. This is assuming you have 2600 Valor. And again, you don't spend Valor. Once you earn it, you can unlock an item or vehicle or weapon as many times as you want to. So yeah, it's not currency. I did not know that until I tested it out. So we're going to go ahead and take this one next. I believe this is the one where the hunters show up. Yes, this should be the one where the hunters show up. Okay, I take that back. All right, if you're going here terrestrially, this is the one where it has the Ultra Elite. You do need to be careful of this guy simply because if you hit him enough times, he cloaks himself. He goes active camo mode. And so it does get a little bit dangerous here. So if you see him right off the bat and you are armed with the Scorpion gun, take him out instantly. There are some skimmers here as well, as you can see. But as you can see, once again, I went ahead and landed behind the beacon. When you see the Phantom start to drop, go ahead and take them out with the Scorpion gun as well. But your safest position, unless there are Banshees flying around, which even, again, this would probably be the safest place to be, is right up here. So there are two Jackal snipers up here, one on each side. Go ahead and take those guys out. Each armed with Stalker rifles. Pull that trigger a little too early. Go ahead and take this guy out right here. Yep, this is the hunter one. So beacon number 3 is the one with the pair of hunters. So again, we're just going to take these guys out. Oh, another Phantom. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy out here. And, you know, just keep in mind, they sound like the tripods from the 2005 War of the Worlds remake. So they should be pretty easy to spot from a distance, or at least hear from a distance. So again, I'm just going to take these guys out, eliminate the big threats here, and then if you want to, you can use the tank gun. And again, if you're not using the scorpion gun here, that's completely fine. There are other heavy weapons you can use. You should have the rocket launcher unlocked at this point at your fob, so that's an option for you. Even if you don't unlock the fobs, whatever fobs you have unlocked, you can grab along the way. And if you have not unlocked any fobs here, and you don't want to, any other mission where you've unlocked a fob, and I believe it's required at least in the beginning of the game to unlock at least one fob. I think that's in either the mission tower/recovery or evacuation site before you're able to cross the bridge. You have the option to go to one of those other fobs in those missions. Since missions are now replayable, you can select them and grab a rocket launcher from there and then just come back here. So yeah, those are options for you if you're not using the scorpion gun. So again, just take these guys out. You got to wait for the weapon to give the all clear. The grunts are scared here. And whoa, he flew off. And we're just going to mop up these guys. That should be enough. I think, what does he have? Is that a heat wave? I still need to learn the weapons, other than the main ones in this game, a little bit better. There are plenty of great ones to use. That might have been the cinder shot. But again, just sort of hang back in this area right here. You got plenty of cover. As you can see, we have UNSC Marines joining us here. They typically will later on in combat. There are Marines parked out there further on the entryway over in that area where the road is. But again, not necessary. You've already have the WASP unlocked, and you can just go ahead and plow on through. So once the enemies are down here, you can go ahead and unlock the door and also access beacon 3. I was going to say deactivate. You're not really deactivating it. You're just giving the weapon a chance to gather more data. So we're going to do that. And this is the part where things start getting a little bit more dicey, at least for my particular playthrough. So I'll go ahead and do this first, and then I'll show you, I believe it's Fob Juliet. That's the one that's closest to the final beacon. And we'll let her do her Marty O'Donnell thing with the whole orchestrating. By the way, that is not a shade on Marty O'Donnell. I absolutely adore the man. One of the most amazing composers I have ever heard. Listen to his music almost every day. Man is an absolute genius. Okay. Lots of talking here. Lots of cutscenes. She's like a frightened little intern. Is that the vibe that I think they were trying to go with her? Because she's... I mean, I like her, don't get me wrong, but very people-pleasing. Maybe that's what she was designed to do. Sylphid the OG Cortana, prior to her turning evil and corrupt and stuff like that, was cooler, but I'm fine with the weapon too. Okay, so now that we're outside of here, we need to get to the 4th beacon. This is the final beacon before we have to go back to the command spire. So let's see if I'm actually right here. By the way, I did clear out all the other... Yep, I was right, Fob Juliet. Or at least not all, but some of the other high priority targets here, as well as the side missions. The side missions will give you 100 Valor. Just sort of break this down. If you want to get 2600 Valor, you should be able to get it easily by the time you get to the sequence. There should be only a couple of other things you needed to do, like go for some of the side missions. Again, 100 Valor. The propaganda towers, I believe, are worth 10. And rescuing squads of Marines are worth 30. High priority targets unfortunately do not award you Valor, nor do taking fobs. So basically side missions, rescuing Marines, and propaganda towers. That's the best way you can do it. And a lot of missions in this game also reward you, like just the base missions, with I believe around 350 Valor. So you should be pretty good with getting to 2600 at this point, so you can get the WASP very easily. So once again, we're going to take the WASP and get to that. And why are they just jumping in front of the landing zone? Like, it looks like he's doing push-ups. you're going to get yourself crushed, dude. You got lucky there, just like your friend back in the previous one. All right, so we're going to fly over here. This is where I ran into an issue. So the enemies here aren't particularly that difficult. There is, by the way, a high value target just to the left of me. We're going to touch on him in a bit. But I encountered a glitch in this one where I killed all the enemies around the beacon, and for whatever reason it did not register, and so it would not let me access the panel that gives you access to the beacon itself. So again, if this does not happen to you, this method should work just fine. Just like with the other beacons, park your wasp behind it and use the beacon itself for cover to go against all the enemies here. There are elites, there are a bunch of skimmers. You're going to have to deal with some jackals and grunts as well. It's not a very complicated one. This is why I typically try to save this one for last. Usually, in terms of gameplay itself, this is where the least amount can go wrong. There are no hunters here, which is a big plus. The skimmers are probably going to be your biggest threat. There are a couple of ghosts here as well. And because we're on top of the beacon at this point, you can use the drop shield to sort of lure the skimmers up here and make sure they don't actually hurt you. What I always recommend doing when you use the drop shield is immediately switch back to your grapple hook. So just in case the drop shield gets compromised, or when it does eventually go down, if you do find yourself in a tough spot, you can easily grapple out of the way. The drop shield does take a bit of time to recharge though. Unless you're using the bandana skull, then you should be able to drop it pretty instantly. I may or may not use that for my 2.0 walkthrough, have not decided yet. But in the meantime, if you are using the bandana skull, which you can get on the last mission of the game on any difficulty and it stays with you, then you have infinite equipment recharges. That means you can use the grapple as much as you want to, the thruster pack, the threat sensor, as well as the drop shield. So again, just methodically take these guys out. Obviously, once you do, you should have access to the control panel below. Now, in my case here, what ended up happening is when I was pretty sure I got all the enemies, I did notice that there was a red dot. And it would not tell me where it was coming from. Like, it would give me a general direction, but wouldn't tell me what was causing it. Like, did I blast an enemy off a cliff and maybe he was handling, or, you know, just hanging off a cliffside or something like that, and I couldn't find him? I don't know. I wasn't willing to jump off a cliff at this point because this is the last beacon. And this is not necessarily an easy mission either. And so, unfortunately, I did have to repeat this section over. Fortunately, I did not have to restart the mission or revert to a checkpoint. What I ended up doing was going back to the local fob, that's Fob Juliet, and when I came back, the tactical, or the high-profile target that I destroyed before I went back there, because I thought maybe that was the thing, had respawned, or the enemies in the area had respawned. I had to do that section again, and then when I came back here, all the enemies that I've now killed here also respawned, so I had to destroy all of them again, and then I could finally activate the control panel. So it was probably some sort of bug. I've noticed quite a few. One of the big ones is the UI. I may have mentioned this in the previous video, but I noticed sometimes when I try to select one of the menu options, all the words are completely gone. It's just lines. If I try to select a piece of equipment or a specific grenade here, the indicators to tell you which direction on the button pad, the D-pad, to activate to hit that particular grenade or equipment, piece of equipment, just show blank circles. And so, again, I'm sure it's some sort of bug. There's not a lot I can do about it. But, again, hopefully maybe installing an update will work or something like that. But I have heard intermittent issues with the PC version in these regards. So just keep that in mind. The bright side of this glitch happening is I can show you an alternative way to approach the beacons. Of course, once again, this is assuming that you have unlocked the fobs that are close to said beacons. You do not necessarily need to take a wasp to get there. You can do this on land. You can also use this method to get from each beacon to another, from one beacon to the next, without using the fobs. And I mentioned this previously, and that is essentially using the Razorback completely loaded up with Marines who are armed with arcane sentinel beams. This is one of the most badass setups you can have actually going into a fight. They will vaporize pretty much anything. Even when you jump off the vehicle to avoid getting sniped by an enemy, they will provide you with immense support. And I noticed that once you actually give them a weapon, they tend to be a bit more prone to following you around as opposed to the other Marines, which are sort of like stationary doing their own thing. But as you can see, like, I have no enemies on my radar here, and I still cannot access the control panel, which is very annoying. There are still a couple of, it looks like further back, we got that one elite over there. The shock rifle is actually a great weapon to use. It's a nice, if you start running low on ammo here, and at this point in time I don't see any ammo refill crates, then the shock rifle is a great backup weapon. There should be plenty of them considering the number of skimmers there are in this particular, or at least around this particular beacon. So again, it's telling me that I can't get in. This hopefully does not happen to you, but if it does, I'm going to show you exactly what I did here, which is essentially, eventually I backtracked to Fob Juliet and had to repeat this area over again. I did not have to revert checkpoint. You can if you want to. If you don't care about deaths or reverts like I do, then, oh, that was a bad move because now they can shoot me, but I can't shoot them. But if you don't care about no saves, no deaths, no reverts like I do, for example, because I care about those things. But if you don't, you can just probably revert to the last checkpoint and it might fix the situation. I'm not entirely sure. If it does not, this method should work just fine. But yeah, again, I'm looking at my radar. The radar has pretty good range on it, and I'm not seeing anything. So just to continue talking while I'm sitting here exploring like an idiot trying to find enemies that aren't there, another thing you can do while going through this mission on easy first is simply gather up aside from the fobs and the valor. I would highly recommend getting all the Spartan cores. Again, this is the last time you're going to be in a semi-open world, and so you can gather all those fobs. You can gather all that valor, and you can gather the Spartan cores. And at this point, there are 45 Spartan cores in the game. The last ones are in this particular mission, and you can use that to upgrade all 5 of your equipment/armor abilities. Each individual piece of equipment/armor ability takes 9 cores to upgrade to the max. So manage them accordingly. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I would say the grapple shot is going to be your #1 top priority, along with your shield core. That's going to give you a lot of resilience. I would recommend at least upgrading to the 2nd tier for the motion tracker, the motion sensor, whatever it's called here. They change it in every game. Whoop, that was not the piece of equipment I meant to use. Anyway, so that at least 2nd tier for the 4th mission, which features the 2nd boss battle against Choklock. And from there, I would focus primarily on the threat sensor, as well as your shield core. And from there, or not threat sensor, I'm sorry, thruster pack. Threat sensor, that was what I was looking for before. Why would they have 2 that start with TH? So anyway, so threat sensor, thruster pack. And then for this last bit right here, it does help if going into it, you upgrade your drop wall a little bit too, so it can help you out against those banshees at the very beginning, as well as some of the enemies here. If you don't upgrade the drop wall right away, that's completely fine. Again, if you're playing this mission on easy the first time around and get all the fobs, you could just get all the cores that way. And what Xbox app, please stop showing me that. I don't care. Can't get rid of the pop-ups on the PC. I swear. I try. But yeah, I keep trying to get into this thing, and it just won't do it. I'm not sure what exactly the problem is here. So I tried a few different methods going forward, just branching out more, seeing maybe if I knocked back an enemy somewhere. And this is where I first discovered, see that red dot right there? That it says there's something over there, but won't tell me exactly where. I don't know if maybe I hit something on top of the tower or one of the cliff sides, but it's clearly pointing in that direction where you see that other not plateau, but other landmass and the ship just behind it. There's nothing coming from over here that I can see. I don't see any other enemies. I don't know if one maybe fell below or what the deal is, but I don't hear anything. But if I come over here, there is another group of enemies, and this is where you can find the next high priority target. So I'm just trying to look for this guy at this point so I can just go ahead and proceed through the mission. Again, hopefully this does not happen to you, but if it does, there are backup options. So as I was mentioned previously, again, the one method you use to beat this mission is, like I said before, collecting all the fobs ahead of time on easy, getting the Valor, getting the Spartan cores, and that should be fairly simple. And then going back and playing this on Legendary. Again, alternatively, you can, if you don't want to use the fobs, or that's completely fine, do not go and try to traverse the land, or try to traverse the island through the air, because on Legendary, you're going to get consistently dogged by Banshees. They always show up in pairs. Even if you are the ultimate dogfighter, and you can take down 2 Banshees at once without a problem, your vehicle is going to continuously take damage. So you're going to eventually have to abandon it and either hijack another Banshee either in air, or you're going to have to try to bait them on the ground somehow. And it's still going to take you a long time to get from point A to point B, which is annoying. So that's why I would recommend, it probably would take you more time to do that than just do this mission on easy and unlock the other things. So I would highly recommend doing that. And so that's another method. If you're going the terrestrial route, I would highly recommend using the Razorback armed with Marines and the arcane Sentinel beams. They'll just completely melt anything. The Scorpion tank should be available to you at this point as well. That's another option. I've just noticed it's very slow. And with this terrain, it can be very difficult to maneuver as well. So I'm just dealing with a high priority target here to see, I believe it's like the Alpha Skimmer. So we're just going to take out these guys. Reinforcements do show up. If you're armed with a tank gun, that should not be a problem. But yeah, so just keep an eye out. I think it was when the Phantom arrives, or when the weapon says reinforcements are coming, that's when I bail to the fob. Yep, eyes up, reinforcements. So we have drop pods as well, I believe. There may be a Phantom here. No? Okay. Either way, I recommend just going back to the fob at this point. And this is only if the game glitches and does not allow you to mess with the control panel, which allows you inside the beacon. If that does happen, just go back here. And it should, at least from my experience, reset the enemies entirely. So this is what I'm going to show you from the terrestrial standpoint. As I mentioned previously, the Wasp is what I would say my go-to option here, just to get from point A to point B the fastest and to get behind the actual beacon, so you have the best place of defense, you have a lot of cover. If this happens to you, or if you just want to take the terrain option instead of actually going through the air, this is what I recommend. Obviously, I just called it a Razorback. And from there, you're going to want to unlock 5 Arcane Sentinel beams. You can also go ahead and take your time and reload up on battle rifle ammo here if you need to. And each time you get one of those arcane sentinel beams, go ahead and place them in the hands of one of your many Marines. And there should be more than enough here. I mean, if you're looking on my radar right now, there's like a dozen of them around. Some of them are hiding under the platform, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, just go ahead and once you do that, once you've armed all 5 Marines with arcane sentinel beams, they should gravitate to your Razorback once you jump into the driver's seat. So just keep that in mind. That AI is actually very impressive on 343's part. So thank you for that. Would love for the other glitches in the game to be fixed too, but I will take this for now. And the fact that co-op was finally added, as well as selectable missions. So I'll take what I have at this point. Still a great game overall. So that's 2 Marines at this point. I would just drop your battle rifle in a convenient place. If you forget where it is, just get another one and load up on ammo. I will say that as sort of a side note here, it would be nice if you picked up a weapon like the battle rifle, for example. It gave you full ammo and ammo reserve from the start. It does not do that. You do have to actually select it again to get to basically top off your ammo reserve. But you know what? That's fine too. It only takes a couple of seconds, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. It's better than not having it at all, right? So that should be 3 at this point. So just 2 more. And then we can load up our Razorback with our Marines armed with arcane sentinel beams, and they will just melt everything. Like I said before, even when they're not in the Razorback, when you jump out, they jump out too. They will provide you with excellent cover, even on Legendary. All right, so we're going to go ahead and grab this real quick. I think I backed out by accident. I do that from time to time. Get my buttons here confused. There we go. So another sentinel beam. Lots of Marines around here, so we just have to find another one that is not armed with a arcane sentinel beam already. You seem like a great candidate. Hello to you too. So that's 4. And we just need to do this one more time. And then we should be able to pick up our battle rifle again once we arm our final Marine with the final arcane sentinel beam, and then we should be completely good to go. Again, the battle rifle really is one of your go-to weapons in this game. It's absolutely fantastic, double the ammo reserve that any other previous Halo game has had for the battle rifle, which is very nice considering that sometimes ammo crates can be very spaced out. And there is not a battle rifle in every mission in this game. Fortunately, weapons do carry over from one mission to the next. So you can, theoretically, even though this is the last open world game, or last open world mission, you can theoretically travel back here to one of the fobs, or select this mission, travel to a fob, get the weapon you want, then return to the mission that you're on, and actually have that weapon. So that's an option too. And I may explore that more in my 2.0 walkthrough. So at this point we have 5 Marines all armed with arcane sentinel beams, and we are going to go ahead and load these guys up, and I'm going to show you how to get to the final beacon on just 4 wheels rather than by air. So we just got to wait a little bit. The ones who are interested, they're markers on the radar tend to be slightly more highlighted than the other Marines, and they should all be coming up here momentarily. I don't know if they're getting lost. We got some folks coming up here now. Okay, so there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5. So just sort of an FYI, the main reason I don't typically use UNSC vehicles is because, again, it's a very rocky terrain here. So they do tend to flip over very easily. If you're near a cliffside, that means you'll probably lose your Marines too. Even if they don't die, they typically won't come back. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if you're going to the final beacon, this is the route that you want to take. Just follow this road right here. I'm going to go ahead and once again, because these enemies respawned for the high priority target, we're going to go ahead and take these guys out too. Again, with all these Marines right here, I tend to jump out in this area just because the skimmers are very good at sniping from long range. But the Marines are very good with providing you with cover. So I would highly recommend letting them do their thing. I don't think I lost any Marines here at all, to be honest with you. I don't remember exactly. I remember at one point I thought I was missing one, and then after actually beating the enemies in the next area and unlocking the door and coming out, I believe I saw all 5. I don't know that for sure, but even 4 Marines with Arcane Sentinel Beams is extremely effective. And they provide you with excellent cover. They're very durable in this game, even on Legendary. That was not the case in previous Halo games, so I'm very impressed with these guys. Like I said before, Semper Fi. So we're just going to move up here a little bit. As you can see, this area is sort of reset. They're going to call for reinforcements again. And there is our boss right here that we need to get to in a second. But it's just another skimmer. He's got a little bit more health than the other guys. But again, if you're using the tank gun, it doesn't mean anything, as you can see right there. The nice thing about these high priority targets, these high value targets, is they will always drop a weapon that you can use, and then you can access at one of your fobs in the future. And that's actually how we get the Arcane Sentinel Beam. And once again, that is located on Island 2. That's the same island where excavation site, Halo 5 vibes, right? Excavation site actually takes place. So you can actually get that pretty early on if you'd like. So just mop up these guys, and then you can claim, I believe it's a shock rifle that he has. So we gotta, let's see, where is it? The beacon's telling me over here, but I don't really trust this as much as I'd like to. Because, again, this is the PC version of the game. Got a gravity hammer in case you want to use that. Gravity hammer, of course, is one of my favorite weapons in the franchise. More specifically, the Halo 3 one. So I'm going to go ahead and select this real quick. See if that helps out a little bit. Oh, take out this guy real quick. That should allow us access. There it is. So yeah, it's another shock rifle. A stronger one that you could use. Shock rifles are actually very effective against Sentinels too, so you might want to keep that in mind for later missions, especially the one that features the gondola ride. Shock rifle is a very effective weapon there along with the Sentinel Beam itself. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and make our way once again to the beacon. I think I unselected it. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and readjust that. And at this point, the enemies should have reset. So if you encounter that glitch that I encountered earlier, this should fix that, without you having to reset the mission or revert to checkpoint or anything like that. So we're just going to go straight through here. Wait. I think I may have... Yep, made a wrong turn. Hold on. Go back. We're going to go over here to the left-hand side. That's where that bridge is leading. I'm not used to tackling this part on ground level. But, again, you can, and your Marines will help you out immensely if you do this. So we're just going to take to a higher ground right here. There's the bridge. If you want to take out some additional enemies up here, you certainly can. There's a Sentinel right there. Let's see how he feels about his own technology. And as you can see, the Marines are just melting the enemies here with their Arcane Sentinel Beams. And they have great range, which is even better considering the fact that the enemies here, the Banished, also have great range. Great for them, not so much for us. All right, we're going to load these guys back up here. Still have all 5 Marines. So again, this method right here is another one you can use to get from one beacon to another if you're not using the tank gun, and if you're not using the Wasp, or if you don't have 2600 Valor to access the Wasp, then this is a method that you can use to get from one place to another. Very effective. Like I said, if you're not using the fobs, you are going to encounter a number of other enemies along the way. Rather, doesn't matter if you're traveling by air or, you know, just terrain level like this, you're still going to encounter a number of enemies if you do not use the fobs. If you are traveling on ground level, which I would highly recommend versus air, then this is definitely the best way to do it. I say this is even more effective than the Scorpion tank, simply because not only is it faster, but I think 5 Arcane Sentinel Beams being able to shoot all at once at any time and without any real recharge or anything is perfect. You can melt just about anything. I am trying to park a little bit outside here because, yes, you can get sniped inside the Razorback. And there are, with the skimmers here, there's a nice probability that can happen. Plus, they can also shock your vehicle at the same time. But look how that Jackal just melted right there. And we have a Ghost up here too. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and take him out. Again, look out for any snipers. Your Marines should be fairly effective at coordinating and taking out any hostiles that are near you. But I do like to take out any of the bulkier ones, especially anything in a vehicle, far ahead of time. And the Ghosts are pretty fast too, so as they traditionally have been. So hopefully that took that guy out right there. And, you know, because I've already done this area once with the battle rifle, I'm just going to go ahead and go to town here. Oh, is that another Ghost or is that the same one? Can't tell. Maybe I'm just a really bad shot. Or maybe he's really lucky. I don't know. But that guy is down at this point. We have a few more skimmers over here. Again, just be very mindful of their shock rifles. Once again, it's very easy to switch over to the drop shield. I believe it's left bumper, right bumper, or no, right bumper, left bumper to the drop shield, and then 2 right bumpers to get back to the grapple shot. So you can easily deploy a drop shield very quickly and then switch back to the grapple shot if you need to. And hopefully this is the last guy. Again, I have wasted too much of your time because of the glitch in this game, so I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible. Because the bottom line is simply just getting to the beacon itself and unlocking it. And once we do this, we can actually fast travel back to the fob that's near the start of the mission, near the command spire, and then finish up from there. What's worth noting is... Oh, yeah, got to take care of you. What's worth noting here is that this time there will be a lot of enemies around the barrier to the command spire. Now, I'm not sure if those are left over because I skipped them initially, or if they spawn back in after we take out all the beacons. So I'm not sure about that. I can test that in my 2.0 walkthrough. But either way, I did notice that on the bridge on the side of the fob, there were a lot of enemies. On the other side, there are a few, but not very many. And those are very easy to take out, but there is a Phantom that will show up. If you have the tank gun, you can typically take out the Phantom and the entire crew on board before they actually deploy. If you're not using the tank gun, this is why you want to keep those fuel tanks alive, because you can take out a ton of enemies that way just by throwing a grenade or using a power weapon to detonate them. So again, it depends on your method. If you're using the tank gun, you can destroy those fuel tanks early on so you don't have to worry about them later. If you're not using the tank gun, they will come in handy for the last part of the mission. The enemies in the first part of the mission for that area aren't that difficult. Again, just a couple of elites, and then it's mostly grunts and jackals after that. At the end of the mission, you do have an elite ultra to deal with, so just be aware of that. The fuel tanks can come in handy for enemies that strong. So now we're going to go ahead and travel back outside. This is where I saw my Marines. Loyal bunch right there. I love these guys. So I think I see 5 dots on my radar. I'm not sure, but regardless of how many there are here, and thank you for your service. I do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and fast travel back to our original fob right over here, which is Fob Lima. And again, you can capture this one very easily at the beginning of the mission. So once again, I would recommend going ahead and grabbing a wasp. We're going to have to travel back to the command spire to activate that control panel again now that all the beacons have been hacked by the weapon. And the easiest way to do this is to go ahead and activate or to request a wasp. So again, I don't know if the enemies right before the bridge are there because I did not kill them initially at the beginning of the mission, or if they respawn after all of the beacons have been activated. But regardless, we can get around them pretty easily by just banking over here on the right-hand side. And you can just easily avoid them. The Wasp does not have that much armor, so I would not recommend trying to fight ground enemies, at least not very much, on Legendary with this thing. But it is nice for getting from point A to point B, and if you haven't collected the skulls yet, which is another thing you can do in this mission, that's an option too. You just don't want to stay in the air too long, otherwise the Banshees will start coming for you. So there's the Phantom. We're going to take this guy out real quick. It takes usually 2 shots, sometimes 3. The third one usually destroys it instantly. The second one will get it on its path to destruction, but still gives enemies time to deploy. So keep that in mind. There are still a couple of other enemies here, so just keep that in mind as well. And once again, a reminder, if you're not using the tank gun, if you kept those fuel tanks alive, that's a great way to take out all the other enemies here, especially if you have additional ones that deploy from the Phantom. So now that we're all clear, that is the sequence on Legendary. Again, I will follow up with a 2.0 walkthrough, possibly a 1.5 one as well, and another video on how to obtain the Arcane Sentinel Beam to use in this mission on a ground level. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this walkthrough beneficial for you if you have not already beaten this mission on Legendary, because it is 2023. Happy New Year to you, by the way. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this mission, what you thought about it, what your approach was. And I want to take the moment to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down and watch this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I hope you consider subscribing for more great content right here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.